Hey, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the first quarterly challenge of the year 2025 here, January 16th. Did I get that right? Yes, good. All right. January 16th. And yeah, this quarterly challenge, we wanted to go after objects that are found in the constellation Taurus. And so the whole point of the quarterly challenge is not necessarily to see who can get the better images, but to uh, basically force you into imaging a specific object or like maybe implementing your processing skills or whatever and see what you can come up with. And anyway, we in the room, we've already discussed what we're going to do for the next quarterly challenge, but we'll get to that later. So anyway, so let's go ahead and we'll start presenting our images here. Who would like to go first? All right, I'll pick somebody. Hey, Johnny, go first.
Okay. Hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right. Okay. Okay. I'm not allowed to screen share, apparently.
Working on it.
Okay.
Watching the screen. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
Think I got it. Think I got it now.
Yeah.
All right. See my screen? Everybody got it?
We're not seeing it. Hold on.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah, I can see it at home.
Okay. Okay.
oh, we're not seeing it over here.
Oh, okay. So you're
There we
seeing.
go. Yes, nice
Uh,
Pleiades. All right. Nope.
okay. Okay.
Yeah,
You are seeing it. Okay.
yeah, let's hear
Um,
about it.
yeah. I had not shot the Pleiades before with my 8-inch RASA. And so I did that about a month ago, and I also had a one of these dedicated RASA broadband light pollution filters, which I hadn't used that much either. So I paired both of those up with this. This is a couple of hours worth of 180-second exposures, and I'm looking to get more on it. And with the filter, I was hoping to get more of the surrounding dust around the cluster, and it's starting to work, but I need some more time on it. And um, so that's with an ASI 2600 MC color camera,
And which Raza was it?
the RASA 8.
Okay.
Yeah. Um, I had it 5 years. I can't believe I hadn't shot the Pleiades with it, but I did that a couple of months ago.
Well, it
Um,
looks fantastic. Yeah, I can see what you mean. You want to pull out all that other stuff that's surrounding it.
yeah. Um, okay. Can you see this next one?
Yep, Spaghetti
Okay.
Nebula.
I was inspired by a monochrome shot that one of the members did. That Steve Christensen, I believe, did one. Didn't we show it last month of the of this supernova remnant in Taurus? Didn't he have a monochrome H alpha version of it? Anyway, this is with I think the same lens he used, the Rokinon 135 f2, and I use it at f2.8, and this is a couple of hours uh, on the object with the ASI 2600 color camera and the Rokinon f2 at f2.8, and also with a Optilong L Extreme filter. I have a Nikon lens adapter for the camera, and it has a little filter um, well in there that you can screw a 48 millimeter filter in. So that's what I used. Um, I didn't know that the filter would do well at that fast f ratio, but it seemed to do fine. There are no funky stars in the corners or any variation in the filtering action that I can tell. from one side to the other. So I want to get more time on this one too. Um,
So, were you able to like isolate like O3 from this? V
yeah.
and I were talking about this object earlier. I
Hmm.
mean, like how much O3 do you think is in this image?
I'm not sure. The nebula does pass O3. I mean, the filter does pass O3, but I'm not sure how much O3 we're looking at in this image. Um,
It's something I want to go after,
yeah,
well,
yeah,
someday.
yeah, yeah. Get a little halo around this Elnath right here. This is Beta Tauri right here. So it's giving me not only a halo, but it looks like an off-axis halo, off-axis halo here. And
Wonder if that's the product of it being F2.
could be, that could be a little something slipping in there. As I said, I had the lens at 2.8 instead of 2. Um, but that could be what's going on there, Chris. Um, um, and this is one I did with my 14-inch Meade scope about actually this is about 5 years ago. This is with a ASI 071 camera, um, and about 2 hours of 5-minute subs with the 14-inch Meade ACF scope in my observatory, configured to about f7. Um,
What camera was that?
the 071, the ASI 071. I shot this. This is one of the first deep sky images I shot after getting the Meade 14. That was about 5 years ago, and I had just gotten the focal reducer for it, and I was trying to see what it could do. Uh,
Well, I'm happy. Yeah, it's
yeah,
nicely
yeah,
resolved.
yeah, that's all I've got.
All right. Well, I thank you very much. It's all beautiful. Glad that you were able to do more than one focal length, so that's nice. So, let's see. Okay, who would like to go next? Okay, I guess I should just pick somebody. Chris Whittam.
Hello.
Okay, you ready to go?
I have just one thing to show.
Well, that's fine.
Okay, let's see. There we go. Is that actually showing up? There we go. There it goes.
Yeah. Is that 1514?
Eskimo? That's 1514.
Okay.
So this was my 8-inch f4 Newt, and well, it's I just actually got it last night and the night before. Just got it in just barely in time. Um, So I was just checking to see what objects are in Taurus, and I saw this one. I was like, oh, it's the only planetary you can really see, and uh, went
Yeah, it's like
after it.
right at the edge. I think it's like the foot of Perseus is like right next to it or something.
Yes, it is. And so, yeah, this is with just a DSLR with the that's astro modified with a L enhanced filter. So, I actually have a better camera, but it stopped working, and so now I went to an older camera to get something done for this month.
Well, it looks fantastic. I actually went after this a long time ago and using about the same kind of setup there. I mean, you can already see some of if you're like to sit on it a little bit longer, I mean, you see it looks like a sort of like a flower, but you can also see some like just faint petals if you want to use that kind of comparison there, just coming out the sides a little bit.
Right. And so this was, the integration time is about 300 minutes. So 2-minute subs, about 150 of them. And then I cropped it down because the outside of it was not quite as pretty as this.
Do you have a what was it coma corrector?
Yeah, the Nexus.
Okay. I've
So
only ever did that one. So
that brings it
Is
down
that
to
red?
Hmm?
Is that red in the top left quadrant of the image? Is that sky glow, or is that just something that is showing up weird on my screen?
I think it's sky glow, and it's I tried with because I use Cyril for my stacking and whatnot, and I tried the background extraction, and it just made the image ugly, and it actually looked better this way. So I just kept with it.
No, no, yeah. I was just, yeah, it just looks like there was a gradient. I'm not being
Yeah.
critical. I just wanted to make sure I'm.
Oh no, it's like I said, it is just I tried, and I was just like, you know what, this looks better than trying to flatten it out, and so I just kept with it. And but yeah, with the Nexus, it's really actually running at f3, so it's running really fast, so you get a lot of light, but it's not very forgiving of anything.
Yeah, my nuke's f2.8, so yeah, I know.
But yeah, this is the only one. For me, this is the hardest time of year because it's kind of like getting out of Christmas time and whatnot, and then trying to go back to a normal life after that.
what does that feel like?
I don't know. I haven't gotten there
Okay. All right. Thanks, Chris.
Chris, you should have just told us it was a part of the aurora that you captured there.
yet.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. I said it in the room. I was like, oh, you caught the aurora too.
All right.
All right, Dave. Looks like Naveen chose you to be the next presenter.
All right, it's always tough to go after Johnny, of course. And hold on a second, let me get here. And is that showing up?
Yes, bottom part
Yeah,
of
I
ladies.
yeah, I intentionally went for anything I need to do different, or there we go. Is that better?
It looks fine.
Yeah,
Okay.
You're going
looks
for the
fine.
I
Moreau
went for the
section.
I did intentionally went for the Merope section. Was trying to get a little bit of the detail there within the Pleiades. After reading a little bit more about the origin and the interstellar dust and the way it's interacting up there, or whatever, just decided to go for that for a little bit. So this is around 2 hours or so, and it was the first time that I actually tried any of the. I've only recently started aligning as I take my images. You guys knows I usually just have attempted to get really precise on the polar alignment, but now I'm doing some guiding, and so this is only my first experiment with the guiding, and it was hard for me to know whether the what was showing up was actually the dust or did I need to have some flats in there. So I was just experimenting a little bit, but did spend quite a bit of time on it and enjoyed some of what came up. So that it was with my usual gear, the 102 Explore Scientific. I had a point 0.8 reducer on it, on the EQ6R, and using a sharp cap to generate the images. And I think I was at about 5 minutes a piece for my, and that's the longest I've ever been able to do without using the guiding. So I just
So this is
just
unguided?
experimenting. Oh no, this was the first one that I've ever attempted guiding.
Oh,
So I only recently started in the world of guiding. I've been doing 3 years without the guiding, just relying upon the very precise polar alignment beforehand.
The
And
stars look nice and round to me, so that's a good.
thank you, John.
so
Yeah,
about what focal length is that? You said 102. Is that the ES 102? Is that at f7? Then I
it's
guess it's,
around the f7, and it's the
so this will be about almost
718
600.
millimeters.
Oh,
And
so
with the reducer, well, with the reducer, it's about roughly
560.
600. You called it. Yep.
Okay, all right.
Yep.
572,
Yep.
maybe. Okay,
Yeah.
all
But
right. Very nice.
and also like some of the color in the stars too that is showing up there as well. But and the one thing I noticed is with the dithering, and Naveen has been telling me this for the longest time. Finally, doing some, dithering in the imaging part is it's incredible that as far as not having to rely so much. There's no post processing on this at all, so this is just simply captured with the sharp cap. Um, so I really like how it came out. And that's the only one I have because after that, some of you know I've been out of commission for a bit. So
Okay, Dave. Take care of yourself, okay?
thank you, Chris.
All right. And who's Naveen going to choose? Oh, John Sadler, you're up.
All righty. Let me see. Where do I shift?
Such a drag.
Now, where's the? Oh wait, where is it? Down here. Share. Okay, share. And here we go. I don't have much, but all right. So
I'm thinking I
these are
probably should have told
both these
everybody not
images.
to do Pleiades. So-
Well, this is just what I had. So this is these were both done with the Sea Star. So this was me playing around, and I took two live stack images. One that was 230 frames at 30 seconds, and one that was 405 frames at 10 seconds. And I combined them and just kind of processed them. And I had to crop it because of the different mosaic field settings. So that's why it's real close in. But this is what came out of it. It was like, okay. Um, so it's probably really just, I don't know, maybe an hour and a half of exposure time because the way the Sea Star overlaps its mosaics, it's about 90% overlap when it does it. So it's not a full, it's kind of weird how the mosaics are done in the Sea Star, but so it came out all right. It's a little. I mean, I just literally processed this yesterday just for the hell of it. So, and I didn't do a real great effort on it. So that's that one. I did like that. I got some decent color in some of the stars. Considering how blue the whole thing is overall, I like seeing some of the reds in there. So it came out all right. That's that one. And this is also a Sea Star that I did. And, this was pretty tough to do considering the really wide field of view on the Sea Star. I had to, I think I drizzled it 4x and everything else when I did this. But this is 861 10-second exposures that I did on that little 50 millimeter 1080p sensor. So it's not as good as I'd like, but it's not
I mean,
terrible.
what can you do with 861? That's like, yeah, that's very sparse.
Yeah. I mean, that's what 861 times 10 seconds. What's it? 2.5 hours, something like that.
Yeah, pretty close. 7,200 is what, two? Yeah, so 86.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's about 2.5.
So that's not really a lot of exposure on this, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, that's what I got. So,
All right, very good. Who's the next victim, Naveen? Let's see. Okay. Okay, Marshall, you're up.
I don't got nothing. I'm just here to look.
best image of them all, right there.
Yeah.
You
Yeah, I get the too cool for school award.
Yeah, okay. Well, I guess we'll do it still old-fashioned way. Who'd like to go next?
Yeah, I got a couple images I could share.
All right, very good.
I'll just our screen. Oh, so I think, yeah, can you guys see the
Ooh,
Pleiades?
superb. Yeah, that's wonderful.
Yeah, it's blocking the top. I think this was like 11.2 hours. So this is with the Carbon Star 6-inch Newtonian with the 2600 MC camera. I think there were 1 minute exposures, so however many that turns out to be. But yeah.
Is the Carbon Star F4?
Yeah, it starts at f4, and I have the flattener, so it's like 3.8, I think. Yeah, I was pretty happy when I started seeing some this little
Yeah,
galaxy
I think
showing
that's
up.
a UGC or a PGC galaxy, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, there's quite a few. Guess when going through the processing, they kind of pop out. But yeah, it
You're
was,
gonna make me bust out. You're gonna make me bust out my f2.8 Newtonian and my 2600 MC Duo and put it on the sky just because of this picture.
oh,
Thanks for that.
oh yeah, thanks. Yeah,
That is beautiful, Jeff.
yeah, thank you. Yeah, it was I think I don't know, 3 hours earlier this month, and then the previous month, yeah, I had some good weather with the dark sky. But yeah, I'm in Bortle 6-8 or so, so um, definitely try to take advantage of the dark nights when I can.
How did
One of the
you,
things that,
go ahead, Chris.
yeah, one of the things I don't think I've ever noticed before until you showed me this is that I'm looking, you look at the lower left and you see
Mm,
those lines.
yeah, yeah. I wonder
Is
if
that
that's an
actually like the starlight doing something, or
that's where I kind of think so. Like with the
yeah, that's what it
diffraction
looks like.
spikes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because quite a few. Yeah, the bottom left is where it's more noticeable too, and it's hard to discern from like up here if it's carrying on down here. I definitely think it's some kind of artifact, just
It
because of
looks
the.
kind of like a reflection of the diffraction spikes or something, kind of weird.
Mhm.
But it looks great still. Yeah.
That
Um,
kind of adds something to
and
it.
I was curious. Do you have a field rotator on there or something? How'd you keep your diffraction spikes all lined up? How'd you get this framed the same way for all your exposures?
Oh, so I don't have like you mean like an automated kind of camera
Yeah,
rotator?
I was curious because you said it was a Newtonian, right? And I
Yeah,
see the
okay.
diffraction spikes.
Yeah, so I'm
So how'd you keep it orientation right?
so I'm using the ASI Air, and in there it'll essentially take a picture and tell you kind of the camera orientation. So I've been
Mm-hmm.
making notes of like the different camera, planning ahead of time what orientation I want, and then
Okay.
making
Okay.
making note of the angle, and then specifically going back and yeah, the target doesn't even necessarily need to be up, but like I know the angle I want, and I can use the ASIR to kind of get back to where it was.
So do you get it where it's at the same point in its rise and set, to do it, or I'm just curious. I'm just, because that's, I mean, the fact that you've got the diffraction spikes lined up over multiple sessions, I think is great.
Oh,
So,
oh, thanks. Um, no, I don't have it set to rise and set, usually because the Pleiades was kind of already out.
okay.
But yeah, so I think the other thing you can do is with an existing image, and it's the easiest way is it'll plate solve it and then tell you like, hey, rotate whatever 20 degrees clockwise
Right.
and kind of
So
go
you
through
just
that.
made, yeah, like I said, you made a note of the orientation and that you had it, and you just kept shooting for
Yeah,
that, orientation for each of your session. Good to
yeah,
know. Oh,
yeah, yeah. Definitely, it was definitely something new I had started doing, I guess, in the winter with trying different camera rotations out.
yeah, because I'll have to do that with my Sharp Star. If I multi-session it, normally it's so fast I just do everything in one session.
Mhm.
Couldn't do like an 11 hours of data like you are without planning it. And that's why I was curious.
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely a little bit more, one extra step, but yeah, I think it's worth it. But yeah, so I was pretty happy with that and how it turned out. And then more challengingly, this was with the Little Flame Nebula. I can't remember the IC number, whatever the IC 2087. So yeah, this was the first dark nebula that I guess I had specifically tried to target, and it was okay. So this one was 11.2 hours. So the Pleiades going back was like 9. But going back to this guy, so this was the 11-hour one. Um, but yeah, pretty, still pretty noisy, but I was well, kind of happy with what I was getting. Um, didn't really know what to expect.
almost looks like someone was airbrushing the sky.
Yeah, it definitely was, not the sharpest image here. Um,
Oh, I'm not saying it's a bad
No,
thing
he
at
meant that
all.
as a compliment.
oh, yeah.
How dare you, John?
Yeah, I did find it interesting, the thought experiment like for focusing, because I did center the object in the middle of the frame, and then with like auto focusing of like, well, which stars was it going to find, and try and autofocus on. So it's definitely I don't know, a learning experience.
Just wanted to say it looks good. I've tried this target a couple times and it is really tough. I've not been happy with any of the results I've gotten. So, this looks nice.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I was happy at first, then I started searching online, and then I was like, oh, yeah, okay. But again, suburban skies, really dark object. So, yeah, it was worth trying. So I had fun. Yeah, those are the two things I had from the Taurus constellation.
Okay, very good. And who would like to go next?
Well, I got something I can show. It's not anywhere close to what you guys are doing, but considering that I just got the Sea Star about a week and a half ago and just learning how to use it, I got a picture of M1 here. Let me see if it comes up. Did it show?
It's coming. There it is. We got it.
Yeah.
That's your first image you ever taken?
One of the first images, yeah, with the Sea Star. Now, I've been an astronomer
Yeah.
for a time, but I recently had some bad luck with a shoulder rotator cuff. So I can't lift my big stuff outside. So my wife and my kids got me a Sea Star. Only weighs about 5 pounds, so I can take it outside and set it up. So I'm now back into doing a little bit of astronomy. And this isn't one of the better images, but I was very impressed with some of the image that Sea Star took of the Horsehead and the Flame Nebula and M33. You can kind of see the spiral arms. I didn't do anything fancy with processing or anything. I just, this is just straight out of the box.
Yeah, that's a pretty good chunk, pretty good amount of data there for just 5 minutes of exposures too.
Yeah, I'm
The
sure
only
if I
critical,
ran this one longer, it would look much better and do more processing and stuff. But just straight out of the box,
yeah, the only
really impressed with what I'm getting. Some of the more brighter objects. The M1, of course, isn't one of the brighter ones, but the other ones are quite spectacular, like the Orion Nebula, the Horsehead, and the Pac-Man, Bubble Nebula. Even the bubble appeared, which I thought was pretty impressive.
Yeah, I've shot the bubble with my Sea Star, and it comes out pretty well.
Good.
The only critique kind of thing I can say there is, it looks like you may not have run autofocus before you started that because the stars are a little soft. And it doesn't automatically do it. I think by default, you may have to turn that setting on to do an autofocus at the beginning of the session. That's
Okay.
just for your use going forward.
Yeah, some of the stuff
but
didn't work, or at least I didn't know how to make it work. Like the mosaic, I would set that, but it didn't mosaic anything.
Yeah, mosaic is a new feature. I get, if we want, we can go through that another time if you want to
Yeah.
talk about it. But it's not hard to do. You just have to do it in the Sky Atlas portion of the app, and you can set the framing and start it, and it'll take pictures in a spiral pattern until it fills up your mosaic. This is
Yeah. But for a $450 scope, I'm really impressed with how it turned out. And here in Wisconsin, I was taking some of these images. It was like 15 degrees outside. So I took my scope outside, set it on the sidewalk, got it calibrated, got it leveled, and went back inside and imaged for 3 more hours. It's
Don't blame me.
pretty spectacular. In fact, it got so
Yeah,
cold at night, it wasn't even working because I was beyond the limit of the operation. The operation is -20 C, which is 14 degrees. I think it was about 12 out and it dropped the wireless. But that's one of the other benefits of the scope is you don't have to have a lot of infrastructure in place and heavy stuff. And you can just run it. I just been running this from my cell phone.
yeah, it's a fantastic little device. And
Yeah.
ZWO confirmed they're going to be adding equatorial mode support to the firmware on this. So you'll be able to put a wedge on it and not have field rotation
Yeah,
once
one
they
of the things
release
that
that firmware.
when I tried to go to 20 seconds or 30 seconds exposures, it seemed like it was dropping a lot of frames because of
Yep,
that rotation issue, because it's an Alta azimuth mount.
correct.
Now, one question I have on if and when they release their equatorial mode, do you have to use the go-to on your equatorial mount, or can you use the go-to in the C star?
You'll be able to use the C star because there's a workaround equatorial mode you can do in it right now. And you just use the C star to do it. You lose half the night sky when you do it.
Okay.
But yeah, you can't do anything in the southern celestial hemisphere. So, but I wouldn't even worry about that because today a ZWO support person responded to me saying that equatorial mode is in testing and it should be released soon, which will hopefully be in the next month or so. And you'll just get a little cheap wedge to put on a tripod and make sure, and you can do a rough polar alignment and you will have no field rotation. I've done it before and it does work well with 30-second subs. So,
Yeah, that'll be nice. So you can just throw it on the equatorial and sort of kind of point it
yep,
towards the
it's
North Star and let the C star take over.
right. Yeah, I'm excited to see how they implement it because it is kind of a kludgy workaround today.
Yeah.
You have to disable location, basically lie and say you're at the North Pole, and you put it on the
Oh,
wedge, and yeah, you do some stuff, but it works. So,
that kind of defeats the purpose of using a C star.
well, no, you still get the northern celestial hemisphere
No, I mean
on
if you got to go
equatorial
through a
mode.
bunch of workaround stuff, then
Yeah,
you can
it's no hacks on it. It's no hacks on the firmware or anything. And there is another method that you can do to control it from a computer, but I didn't even look at that. So anyway, I'm getting in the weeds.
So anyways, I thought I'd participate here tonight with the C star image I took.
Well, you're off to a good start there. So I see what John has talked about, but yeah, as far as focusing, if anything, take that advice as that we've all been there. So
Yeah, it's not
yeah,
meant as a negative.
yeah,
If you just when you're about to live stack, just hit that little AF square thing on the in the app there. Have it run the autofocus routine, then start your live stack, and I think you'll be much happier.
I think I tried that and it didn't work for some reason. And I also noticed this C star has trouble finding the moon. That was one
Yeah, I've had
negative.
it have trouble sometimes with that, and in my case, and it could be depending on when you did it. I do know that the compass and the level sensor in it kind of their work capabilities vary a little bit with temperature. And if you tried it before your scope cooled down, or if it cooled down significantly since you calibrated it, it may not be as accurate. Because I had that problem when I had it in the sun and it got dark. I had to rebalance mine or re-level mine because the sensor was like, "Hey, you know what? It's cool now." I don't know why.
Well, I
But
tried to
it could
find
have.
the moon right after I had it calibrated uh, and leveled. Maybe not leveled perfectly, but within a half a degree. I thought that would have been adequate. Um, but it had trouble finding the moon. It could find the sun. Then when I went on but it could find it could find M objects pretty easily, like M42. I found that once it found M42, then I went back to try to find the moon, and it must have figured out where things were, and then it could find the moon. But for the life of me,
And that could be, yeah, that makes sense because if you slew to an object first and it actually plate solves it, it'll register what it's pointing at, and that probably it's blind finding the moon based on where it thinks it should be if you do it before you slew to an object. So that makes sense.
yeah. So it's like anything, it's got its, I mean, until you actually work with it a little bit, it does have a few quirks, I will say that, but it's for under $500. Wow.
It is a great grab and go device, and I take it with me when I travel anywhere.
Yeah, right. I like the carrying case that came with too. That's quite slick. Yeah. And I bought it doesn't come with a cover. So there's a place that 3D prints covers for the aperture. I bought a cover for it,
Yeah,
and also bought
yeah,
a dew shield that's 3D printed. Just some add-ons. And the
yeah.
picture
Another
of the
little thing
sun
that
turned out pretty good too.
yeah, there's another little piece that's a handy add-on for that is there's a piece you can put between the tripod and the bottom of the Sea Star that'll have a three leg leveler in it. It's
Okay,
much easier to level the Sea Star than by extending the legs.
right. Yeah.
So yeah, it's like a $30 thing, but unfortunately, it doesn't fit in that case, so you'd have to carry it separately. So
Well, I found the legs, you have a little bit of adjustment there as you turn them.
sure,
It'll move it a bit to a point. Yeah.
yep,
Okay,
yeah,
well,
but
I
that
won't
yeah,
take any more
I get
time,
mine
but
down to 0.1 all the time. So
yeah. It might be interesting to have a session on smart scopes or a competition for smart, one of these kind of sessions for smart scopes or just C-Star might be kind of neat.
oh, yeah, they're dwarf, the Sea Star, and the Bayonis. Those are all they would all fit in that category. So
Yeah,
I don't see why it wouldn't be. All those are good scopes.
yeah,
I just don't feel like it's mortgaging my house to get the Bayonis. So
right. Okay, well, I'll let you guys go. I just thought I'd show what I got here. Let me stop sharing
Okay.
there. Give me get it back.
What else you got?
That's the only thing I have from Taurus.
Okay.
I mean,
Well,
if you want to,
congratulations on your new Sea Star there.
you want
And
to see other
it looks like
stuff
you're off
from the
to, good
yeah,
start.
I could show you other stuff from CSAR, but the session is for Taurus. So that's the only object they got out of Taurus.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody else? Naveen has one.
Working on sharing. Should know what I'm doing. I don't. Okay. There we go. You can see a chunk of spaghetti online.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So this was my challenge was, oh God, I've got to get a picture done tomorrow, like last night. So I picked a chunk of Spaghetti Nebula SH2 240. Chris and I were talking before the meeting, and I basically looked in Stellarium, and I'm like, that one. And there wasn't any real science other than it looked like it might be interesting. Apparently there's some sections that have some good O3, but this is hydrogen alpha only. I just sat on hydrogen alpha for, I think I got a little over 4 hours, so 55-minute subs. This is the C8 Edge at F10. Yeah, 2032 millimeters. Yeah. Because with the reducer, blue is terrible. It's really bad. And I got the spacing for F10 set up now. This is almost the full field. Of course, I've run it through BlurX. I spent like the other challenge, like, okay, I can't stack it this morning because I got to go, get to work. So I took the live stack output from PixInsight running on my remote computer and just processed that in like 10 minutes. I've been doing for broadband, I've been colorizing the channels sometime. I'm sorry, for narrowband, colorizing the channels before combining. So I tried that, and for hydrogen alpha, I tend to make it gold-ish. The other two, I can't remember. There's blue and more of a red. But this turned out it looked pretty cool, so I just went with it. I pulled the stars out and then just put them back in, white. So yeah, that
I was
was
going to ask you if you shot the stars separate or if you just pulled them out in the process.
yeah, it's all hydrogen alpha. So yeah, I just pulled them out. I was a bit aggressive in Blur Exterminator, so they got tightened up a lot more than I would have normally. But yeah, it didn't cause any anomalies.
Those RC Astro tools are just phenomenal.
Oh yeah, yeah. BlurX is just magical. Yeah. It's black magic. All right, that's what I got.
Astro Voodoo.
And Naveen, you've said before in terms of the choice of colors, you're not using a particular palette. It's more just what you sort of like as you're doing it, correct? Are you using it a little bit based on a palette or no?
There is a palette when I'm colorizing the narrowband images.
Mm-hmm.
If you ping me on Discord, I can provide more information. I can't remember off the top of my head.
That's okay. That's okay. Just was curious because you've said before that you usually go more with sort of what just feels right or looks good, but you always come up with some things that are pretty spectacular. But
Yeah.
I didn't know if you had when you were mentioning the gold part, those kind of things, and do some colorization, if you were using a particular palette to do so, or just
Yeah. Yeah, and as far as trying things, there's usually if I really care, there's three different ways I'll try to combine the colors, and
Mhm.
sometimes they're hard to choose between. Other times, one is terrible, I'll just chunk it real quick. But the colorizing the individual channels has only worked for what I've wanted to get out of a picture, like 2 or 3 times. So pretty low hit rate for looking good, but when it looks good, it looks really good to me. So I'll keep trying.
I think this looks good. I've never
Thank
seen
you.
anybody do it at this focal length.
Yeah, I apparently I like long focal lengths and short, so I've got the Rokinon out as well. So Jim in the room has some pictures I'll pull up in a sec.
I've got one also that I'll show when you're ready.
So this is Heinz Variable Nebula. And thank you, Chris. I never would have imaged this, but I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go find something in Taurus. And I had just done the Christmas tree cluster and the Cone Nebula for a little Christmas time image, and that had Hubble's Variable Nebula. And I went, ooh, Variable Nebulas, those are cool. So it must have been on my mind. I'm looking through what's in Taurus, like, oh, Heinz Variable Nebula, let me shoot that. So I shot this over 2 nights, and for both nights there were some high thin haze, which had about the same density as the dust in the background. And so I processed it once, like, oh, there's some cool stuff in there. I'll do a processing for real. And so I started over and did what I thought was going to be the real processing, and that came out terrible. And so then I processed it another time, and that came out terrible. Then I threw away some of the subs, and I processed it a 4th time, and finally got something like, well, that doesn't look awful, but it was very sensitive data. It's that kind of data you can't do too much to. If you try to do too much to it, it quickly turns bad. So hours went into finally coming up with something that came out cool. So the variable nebulas, that H-looking little nebula there on the end of the dust cloud, and so there's a star there, T Taurus, I think. and it's a little baby star, only 1 million or 2 years old, and the star is still fluctuating in brightness. And then it's got clouds of dust around it, which still pass in front of it in the nebula. And so over a period of months' time, that nebula will appear to change. It's pretty cool. So like at the end of that big dust cloud on the right, you get that little H looking or N or Z, depending on that. All right. Right next to where your mouse pointer is. No. Go back to the left, that bright area there. Yeah. So that changes from time to time. There you go. Yeah. It's that little star there is the little star. And so you can go online and you can find where people have made little movies of this. You can watch it change over a period of months' time, which is kind of cool.
Very cool. I have a question about something in your image. Over on the right side, there's something at the scale that I'm looking at, looks like a straight line. Did you pick up an asteroid or is that a galaxy? Yes.
There's a couple of little galaxies over there on the right. Yep.
Oh, okay.
A little washed out in the processing, but there's a couple of little galaxies over there.
Cool.
Boy, there's a lot going on in there. That's nice. I like it. Are you able to back out for us a little bit again? Nice. Thank you.
All right, Mark, you ready?
Yeah. See if I can find out where we share. There it is. Hope you guys are ready for another Pleiades.
Ladies, what's that?
Yeah. I shot this at the end of the first week in December. And so in my neighborhood, there's lots of street lights and whatnot. But I wanted to see what my little Red Cat 61 would do to try to show the dust that's in and around the Pleiades. So I kind of offset the cluster and tried to go for the brown dust and I guess some of the whitish dust too. And this is what I got with 2 hours worth of 90-second exposures. And I was surprised, no filters, just my standard UV IR and my ASI 294 color camera. But it was kind of fun. And I expected to get, pretty much a white sky, but I was pleasantly surprised to see that you could still get this kind of stuff even in the bright suburbs.
That's very nice.
Yeah, Mark, I got distracted for a second there. So did you use a filter? You're using the ASI 294, is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
But
What filter were you using? Or were you
no,
using a filter?
no filters, just I always use a UV IR cut filter.
Okay.
So this is essentially broadband.
Okay, so no LP or anything.
No.
Okay. Yeah, I'd be happy with that.
Mhm.
That's really nice. Wow.
Thanks.
What's the focal length of 61 of the Red Cat?
300 millimeters.
300. Okay.
So it's essentially kind of a fancy camera lens.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Looks great.
Very nice, Mark.
Is that some of the lines that we were seeing earlier that you have about in the sort of the middle left? I know there was an earlier image where we were seeing some of the lines that Chris had shown, I think it was.
Yeah, I think those were diffraction spikes, at least. That's what we thought. I'm not seeing that in mine, but it's kind of small.
Yeah.
Kind of weird. I never would have thought, I guess, the spider vein of a Newtonian to make reflections. I mean, is that something real? Anybody heard of that?
I wondered if there was another star off the field, maybe given a spike or something.
Yeah, that's the only thing I can think of. But I don't
Mm.
know of any bright stars around Pleiades.
I'm just wondering if the diffraction spikes when they hit went down the tube, bounced around and reflected themselves. I don't know. That's just kind of where I was wondering on that, but I have no technical reason or knowledge there, so I'm just curious.
And that's all I had, guys.
All right, very good, Mark. Okay, have we gotten everybody?
I have one.
Okay, Don. All right.
And let's see. Let me did that come up?
Yes,
Yeah.
did.
Okay.
Yeah, hold on. Okay, there we go.
We're seeing it
All
online. Yeah.
In 101?
No, that's the Phantom Galaxy.
M74?
That's M74. And
That's it.
I can read.
Wow, I didn't realize that was in Taurus. Okay.
yeah, well, I thought you were finished with the Taurus. Obviously, this is in Pisces, I guess.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I guess we are
Threw us
finished with
off, Don.
Taurus. Yeah, M74.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, it looks
yes.
nice. I mean, it looks like a tiny M101, I guess you could say.
Yeah. It's only it's about 10 arc minutes.
Yeah. That's the one that I think everybody hates if they're trying to do the Messier Marathon because it's like so close to Horizon. It's like that's oh,
No, I think
83. Yeah.
it's up. Trying to remember deck is it
Well,
30?
Jim just said it was M83. Maybe it's M83. I mean,
Yeah. This one has this one's noted for especially visible telescopes. They call it the Phantom Galaxy because it's kind of faint, hard to pick up, and that so is M101, but maybe this one's even a little harder because it's smaller. And this I took with my Stella Mira 90 millimeter and 533, and it represents 127 3-minute exposures for 6 hours and 21 minutes. And it is cropped from a field radius from 1.2 to 0.78 degrees. So it is blown up too. So, it is somewhat small. And that,
Don, is this in Pisces?
yes,
Okay.
yeah. And it's taken from my backyard. And that.
Nice.
This one we get even, what I've seen on the web, you need to put some time in on it. I mean, I've seen a lot of stuff where they've put some ridiculous time in on it.
Like 20
hours,
plus hours.
20 plus hours or whatever.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, the difference between say 3 and say this, what I've done 6 hours and 20 minutes. I mean, it makes a big that jump is worthwhile. I'm picking up some detail, but yeah, it's the only one I
looks
have.
great.
Thanks. And
Okay, so yeah, Don
I'll
kicked
stop
off
sharing.
yeah, that was the only one, right?
Yes.
Oh, okay, all right, yeah, very good. Yeah, so Don just kicked off I guess you would say, the second half of the meeting. Now, I don't want to bust anybody's bubbles here as far as wanting to show off some Mars occultation work, but I want to push that back to February. Right now, you probably heard in just beyond just the Mars occultation, the quote, March of the Planets across the night sky. And I thought we would talk about that more in depth at the February meeting, and including the Mars occultation. That was such a lovely sight to see earlier this week. And but anyway, yeah, with that said, does anybody have anything that's not the Mars occultation and not the the target challenge? Okay.
Yeah, I got
Continue.
a couple. I got a couple more I
Oh,
can
okay.
share.
All right, Jeff,
Say,
go ahead.
let's go here. Let's, yeah, we could start with the tadpoles. This was 17 hours. Again, with the same setup, but using the ASCAR filters that I have, the hydrogen, oxygen, and the sulfur oxygen filters. So this was essentially processed the hydrogen oxygen together for an HOO palette, and then I incorporated the sulfur as a essentially gold, like colored, like pre-colored as gold. Yeah, I was pretty happy with kind of that technique. But yeah.
Are those just regular, like, I guess, false color RGB stars? I mean,
So this is the from the narrowband images using I think the SETI Astro like star stretch. So yeah, false color stars just from the the filtered data.
do you know if it's pretty close to natural? I mean, because they look nice. I mean,
Uh, Close enough that I've been happy with it. Yeah, I do
but I mean, is
sometimes
it a
pull up, like how like what the magic is behind his script, like how close it is. Yeah, I haven't gone back and tried like I guess color calibrating the stars to see how far off they are. That'd be an exercise to do.
yeah, I
It's like
don't know if it's like the script just chooses something arbitrary just based on whatever you've given
mm,
picks insight to look at.
mm. Yeah,
It
it's
fools
definitely
me though. They look natural.
yeah. Eventually someday I'll circle back and try and start incorporating RGB stars. But yeah, I've been happy in the meantime. Um, yeah, so there's that one, and then I had a jellyfish with a similar approach with the HOO palette, and then again the sulfur kind of incorporated as a gold. Like, yeah, getting some
And
haloing
HOO
there.
is really hard to bring out of this, but there's like a ton of sulfur in there. I
Hmm.
remember doing this a while back, and that's something I started noticing with supernova remnants. The majority of them, they're just like so concentrated with sulfur, and I don't know if that just has something to do with, well, I'm no astrophysicist, but how all the other elements on the periodic table are,
Hmm.
you know, uh, vomited out into space after a supernova occurs. But yeah, and I was like, well, maybe all the sulfur that's in the universe comes from supernovas, and well, technically, that's where almost all the elements come from.
Yeah, yeah. It's surprising how little hydrogen does show up in them. Yeah, kind of perplexing, but yeah, it's pretty interesting.
That's a beautiful image. I like
Yeah,
the stars. They're just right. Lots of detail in the.
yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, was getting some haloing on the two bright stars. And again, I think that kind of diffraction. I can zoom in on this guy or not. Yeah, my computer's not cooperating. But yeah, it looks like some of that secondary diffraction. Yeah, I'm
Oh
seeing
yeah,
in
I
some of
see
my
it
Hmm.
other.
a little
Hmm.
bit.
Yeah. Yeah, and it usually doesn't get separated out like when you do I use the star exterminator to extract the stars, and sometimes it'll just kind of get left behind in um, the starless image. So yeah, I think right here similar to the Pleiades earlier. Um, but yeah, otherwise pretty happy with this one.
Jeff, do you have anywheres where you're posting these or whatever? Because these are
Yeah,
spectacular. These are
yeah,
just
I just recently started doing the Astrobin, so started posting that there.
okay.
I don't know if there's a chat or something. I drop it in the chat.
Excellent.
Um,
Thank you.
yeah,
Because I
yeah,
love going back, especially with those, the last one you saw, just to really sort of delve in there. So it's
yeah. It's
sweet.
fun to explore. Oh, and I managed to close it. So, Okay. Yeah, I'll drop it in the chat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay. Anybody else?
This is just general images, nothing
Uh,
specific to the Taurus.
yeah, not Taurus, not Mars occultation.
Okay. Yeah, I got one.
Damn
It
it.
falls into a happy accident category that I did. Yeah. So I was doing a live stack session, and I just slewed over and started this, and I forgot about it when I was talking to people. And this is what ended up coming out of the data. You can see I didn't frame it properly, but I ended up liking what I got, out of the two DSOs, M8 and M20. And then I like a lot of the dust in here, and it actually makes me want to frame this and actually shoot this object, with the objects down and to the left a little so that I get it more centered. But I really like how it came out, considering this was just 121 30-second exposures, and I wasn't even paying attention to it. I mean, I did process the stacked file. It's a live stack, but I just wasn't paying attention to it. And I came back and said, "Oh, maybe I ought to do something with this." So
I'll
I was
take
pretty
it.
happy with how it came out. Yeah.
Is this with the Sea Star?
Yeah. No. This was on the. I'm pretty sure this was on the 130 HNT f2.8.
Okay.
So,
yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. So, and I believe it was either the ASI 183 or the ASI 1600 camera. I'm not 100% sure, but that was one of the two I was using. It was probably the 1600 MC, because the 183 is a little hard to get focus on the Sharp Star f2.8, but I can get the 1600 in there. But now I'm going to be using 2600 MC Duo, so I'm not going to be worrying about that anymore. So anyway. But yeah, I was pretty pleased with how much detail I got out of it, and all this. I don't know if you can see my pointer, but all this dust here in the middle, had no idea it was there, and it shows up pretty well actually. So I'm pretty happy with it.
How long of the live stack was this? Like total integration?
It was 121 30-second exposures, so 60 minutes, really.
Yeah, it's amazing for just an hour.
Well, it is f2.8.
F2.8, yes.
Yeah.
So there is that. So, but yeah, if you ever get a chance for that Sharp Star, that's a great 6-inch Newtonian. I got two of them now. So, and I could put them both on my AM5 at the same time. So,
Oh, nice going. Okay, we got Jim here.
So, after 5 years, I finally got around to shooting the Sol Nebula. I was working my way through Messier objects this summer, and then I got into October, and there was a period of time every night where I didn't have anything to shoot, so I just say, well, shoot Sol. So I ended up with a lot of hours on the Sol Nebula, and finally got around to processing it this week, and I was really happy with the data I had. It was a nice surprise. Like, hey, this is kind of fun. It was lots of hydrogen and oxygen and sulfur and lots of little details in there. It was kind of really fun one to process. So I got Naveen's hitchhiker. I know he likes his hitchhiker, so I had to make sure I got the hitchhiker in there.
And what's the scope and camera again?
So this is a Meade 70 millimeter aperture f5, so a 350 millimeter refractor, and the camera is a ZWO 2600 mm, and this was all SHO, and I did that I think I did SETI Astro stars, unless I can't remember or not. I did or not, but I didn't have any RGB, so I must have done his SETI Astro stars. All right, you want to?
It's gorgeous.
I had it. I ordered a coffee cup with it on it. I thought that'd be a nice coffee cup.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I put in a coffee cup. I ordered a coffee cup. And then while I was shooting M52, I got photobombed by the Bubble Nebula right there. So while I was collecting data on M52, got the Bubble Nebula. That was a fun one too. I knew it was there. I framed it up and then there, but I was after Messier objects and like, all right, I'll get the bubble too. That's the full frame of the Soul Nebula. It's one of those ones where I kept cropping it different ways. Every way I cropped it, I liked it. So just kind of like a blue hole.
Very pretty.
It almost looks like what are those geodesics or?
Yeah, that's what we were saying in the room too, Dave. Yeah. It's all amethyst in there.
Yes, it's beautiful.
Very nice.
No, you don't. Okay, sure. Here's Naveen.
I don't think I've shown these. Crystal Ball Nebula. This is the C8 at F7. So this is fighting with blue stars. But yeah, this is really enjoyed going after the planetary and smaller stuff. So looking forward to Galaxy Season 2. Let's see, this was 9 hours color RGB with the 2600 mm.
Hey, Naveen, what did you mean by you were having issues with blue stars?
The reducer that I have, the .7 reducer for the edge,
Yeah,
is the blue just isn't tight. It's
all over.
terrible stars around the edge of the field.
Huh.
And it's definitely the reducer because I'm now running it at F10. I've got the right spacing
It's all-
finally, and
Yeah.
everything's great.
Huh.
So I'm just going to
Interesting.
run it at F10 and go all in.
Well, because I recently got the Edge and I haven't tried it out yet, but
Yeah, you've got the 9.25 though,
yeah,
right?
I do.
So I'm hoping that it's just fine. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Well, also, right now I'm still working with the 533 MC, so it's probably not going to
Ah,
drive me crazy
yeah.
anyway. But
Yeah.
but eventually, I'm just, I'm looking nervously at the prospects of having to deal with that in the future, I guess.
Yeah. It's different optics. It probably be fine. Just
Hope so, but
yeah.
just wanted to clarify at least what was going
Yeah.
on.
And this is the data I noticed the stars were bad in. So this is a section of the Lion Nebula. I guess this over here, if you see the pointer, this is the head. And what I wanted to get was this little stream here, which is just really cool. Is it hard to get that? No, not really. It's pretty bright. I spent 10.5 hours on it. SHO, hydrogen alpha for the luminance. And then because of the bad stars in blue, for the RGB stars, I used O3 for the luminance for that to kind of clean it up. And it seemed to work pretty good. So if you need to, Marshall, that might be a trick. You can use a different filter for the luminance on the color.
There you go. Well, this is narrowband, right?
Yeah, well, but I specifically used O3 for luminance on the RGB stars themselves.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Well, I think actually what I did
So
is
you didn't have a problem with the O3 channel
No.
though?
no, not at all.
Wow, that's
I know.
strange.
I can give you the raw data if you want to look at it and be like, "Wow, yeah, that's terrible."
If I had time, I would, but
Yeah.
I wonder if you could have salvaged it without, doing the filters by taking the RGB stars and doing a channel extraction and then running blur exterminator on each of the panels.
I mean, this was in monochrome. This was monochrome.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, never
Well, the
mind.
problem is when you do that, as Naveen pointed out to me earlier, it's like sometimes BlurX puts stars in different places when you do that, when it's really bad, especially.
Yeah.
So yeah, you'd probably just make more issues than you'd solve.
But it turned out all right. The first time I tried processing it, I got angry and walked away from it for a couple of weeks. Then I came back to him like, why haven't I processed this before? And started getting into it. I'm like, oh yeah, that's why. Never mind, whatever. So that was fine.
There's a real three-dimensional feel to it, especially with that quote beam or whatever you want to describe that area that's coming out of the center there. That's just really sweet.
Yeah, it was fascinating. I can't remember now. Somebody in the club had a wider field 2-panel mosaic. I think the colors in his shot were better. That motivated me to go for that particular structure. So pretty happy with how it turned out. It is a neat object. I had never imaged it before, except maybe a wide field. And I have done wide field, and I've noticed there's a couple of small things off to the rear end of the lion. I'm gonna probably go take a look at some point. Some SH2 sharpless objects. Anyway, that's it.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, that's a wrap for the meeting. But you had one thing I wanted to get to that I mentioned before we started looking at everybody's images is the next target challenge. So Naveen, Jim, and I were sitting here. We were trying to think of something that we could all collaborate on, and not necessarily take a image of the same object. As far as everybody deposits their data in one place, and we all see what we can get out of everybody's data. But what we were looking at is doing the Virgo cluster of galaxies, and of course, the most popular area of the Virgo cluster of galaxies is what do you call it? Markarian's chain. But there's other ones out there, and yeah. I guess what I'll do is I'll just go through looking at it on Stellarium, and we can sort of map out the areas that we're talking about as far as the Virgo cluster of galaxies. So we're going to make that our next target challenge, which will be in April. Don't know the exact day just yet, but obviously it will be a Thursday, but date rather. So yeah, okay. So next meeting, February, we're going to do what I just mentioned. We're going to look at just solar system images, or at least do our best, because North Carolina weather always hates not solar, but planetary imaging. So we'll look at that, and then of course we'll look at the Mars occultation images as well. And when I say solar system imaging, you can even show us some solar images, I guess. Hey, we're at maximum, and it's giving us all these nice auroras once in a while, right? So anyway, get out there, look up, suck up some photons, and show us what you got next time. Good night, guys.